I'm smelling coffee, birds are singing just outside. Here comes your mercy, streaming in with the morning light. My heart's racing, waking up to your smile. Say good morning, say good morning.
All right, so good morning. Welcome back to Breakfast with the Bible. So today we're in Psalm 17. It's 15 verses. I'm going to go ahead and do the whole thing. Hear the right, O Lord. Attend unto my cry. Give ear unto my prayer that goeth not out of feigned lips. Let my sentence come forth from thy presence. Let thine eyes behold the things that are equal. Thou hast proved mine heart. Thou hast visited me in the night. Thou hast tried me, and shalt find nothing. I am purposed that my mouth shall not transgress. Concerning the works of men, by the word of thy lips I have kept me from the paths of the destroyer. Hold up my goings in thy paths, that my footsteps slip not. I have called upon thee, for thou wilt hear me, O God. Incline thine ear unto me, and hear my speech. Show thy marvelous loving kindness, O thou that savest by thy right hand them which put their trust in thee, from those that rise up against them. Keep me as the apple of the eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings. From the wicked that oppress me, from my deadly enemies who compass me about. They are enclosed in their own fat. With their mouth they speak proudly. They have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes, bowing down to the earth, like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were a young lion lurking in secret places. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down. Deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy word, thy sword, from men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. So, I like that one a lot, actually. So, I'm going to call this one, it's basically David's prayer. It's David's prayer for protection, and it's pretty relevant. So David's prayer in this psalm is for protection. But what we see first is David's defense of his character and motives. Hear the right, attend unto my cry, give ear unto my prayer that goeth out of feigned lips. So this word feigned lips that David is using is not out of deceitful lips. So David is not boasting or saying any of this out of pride. We can know this by verse 3. Thou hast proved mine heart. Thou hast visited me in the night. Thou hast tried me, and shalt find nothing. I am purposed that my mouth shall not transgress. So, thou hast tested mine heart. David can defend himself rightly because he knows God sees his heart. Thou, Lord, you know what you'll find in my heart. His defense continues in verse 4. Concerning the works of men, by the word of thy lips, I have kept me from the paths of the destroyer. Verse 5. Hold up my goings in thy paths, that my footsteps slip not. David is actually praying that God give him protection in his paths so that he can continue to walk uprightly. So David can't be boasting in the first few verses because he's still praying that God would uphold him and direct his steps further down the line. Verse 6, I have called upon thee, for thou wilt hear me, O God. Incline thine ear unto me, and hear my speech. David gives us a prime example of his confidence once again. David says, I have called on thee, because I know you will hear me. And since you hear me, please take note of my request. So David, of course, is confident in God's ability to hear, his intention to hear, and God's character in responding to David. Verse 7, Show thy marvelous loving kindness, O thou that savest by the right hand them which put their trust in thee from those that rise up against them. David is calling on God to express his loving kindness, using God's own character to validate, reminding God that he saves them that put their trust in him. So it's always a wise thing to, when you're praying, when you're laying your requests before the Lord, you refer to his word and things he's already promised, because it proves both you understand his promise, and I think it's important because we know by doing that we are actually praying God's will, because God spoke it beforehand. Verse 8, keep me as the apple of the eye, hide me under the shadow of thy wings. This is one where we must understand the use of the word keep. Okay, this is not in reference to keeping as opposed to getting rid of, but to protect. So protect me as a man who would protect the pupil of his own eye. Okay, the being the most sensitive, one of the most sensitive parts of the body. This is David's request for God's protection and admitting his own weakness and need for protection. So protect me as I would protect the pupil of my eye. This is a very sensitive part of my person, and much damage could be done if I don't keep it protected. It's weak, has no defense of itself. So protect me as the apple of the eye. Hide me under the shadow of thy wings, as a mother hen would protect her young, her vulnerable, weak, fragile young. Protect me. I need your parental protection. I need your protection as you would protect a young defenseless child. Okay? Verses 9 to 14 really describe just what David is asking protection from. From the wicked that oppress me, from deadly enemies who compass me about. They are enclosed in their own fat, with their mouth they speak proudly. They have now compassed us in our steps. They have set their eyes bowing down to the earth, like as a lion that is greedy of his prey, and as it were, a young lion lurking in secret places. Arise, O Lord, disappoint him, cast him down. Deliver my soul from the wicked, which is thy sword. From men which are thy hand, O Lord, from men of the world, which have their portion in this life, and whose belly thou fillest with thy hid treasure. They are full of children, and leave the rest of their substance to their babes. Spurgeon explains the last part of 14 like this. Their sensual appetite gets the gain which it craved for. God gives to these swine the husks which they hunger for. A generous man does not deny dogs their bones. And our generous God gives even his enemies enough to fill them, if they were not so unreasonable as never to be content. If the wicked, this is what they want, God's going to let them have it to their own demise. Verse 15, as for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. David is drawing contrast between him and his enemies, who were only concerned with this life and not eternity. David's declaration of confidence is, I will behold thy face, and I shall be satisfied. This is David's commitment. This is David's declaration. When I awake with thy likeness. 1 John 3:2 says, Beloved, now are we the sons of God, and it doth not yet appear what we shall be. But we know that when he shall appear, we shall be like him, for we shall see him as he is. As for me, I will behold thy face in righteousness. I shall be satisfied when I awake with thy likeness. David knows what real satisfaction looks like. It is the end-all, be-all of my trust in Jesus Christ. It was a longer psalm, but a shorter explanation. I think that it's important to notice that David senses danger. He says that they have compassed, they're all around us. Is kind of what verse 11 says. They're everywhere. Everywhere we look is our enemy. So David needs protection. Okay, he's referring to them as lions in verse 12. You get a pride, ironically that's what it's called, a pride of lions surrounding you. Now what is interesting is the lion will generally go after the weakest. So if you've got a herd of wild buffalo and you've got lion here waiting, they're going to go after the one who falls behind, the one who is either wounded or tired or young. So this idea is, we're surrounded, and I'm weak. I am tired. I am exhausted. But I put my trust in you. Protect me, because I cannot protect myself. Arise, O Lord, and confront them with thy sword. David's asking not only for protection, but for God to move on his behalf and defend him. Again, it wasn't a long explanation, but I pray that you drew something from it. And Monday, we'll begin Psalm 18, and it's going to be broken up into 5 parts because it's like 50 verses. So we'll kind of go through that one bit by bit. It'll take a little bit longer. Like I said, this one wasn't, we could probably dig deeper in it, but I think a lot of it is pretty self-explanatory. Again, I point out David's confidence, David's commitment, David's declaration. It's really just David's prayer, and we can all relate to some degree about protection from the wicked, protection from enemies, protection from this corrupt culture that we live in. So that being said, I pray, again, it blessed you. You got something out of it, and we'll see you back Monday. God bless.